strange, but some man did not allow the heroes into the dungeon. He said that F-rankers couldn't clear a 4-star dungeon, especially with just 2 people. Sun-gu still tried to persuade the man, saying that everything was fine and that he and Woojin were confident in their abilities. However, the man was adamant. Sun-gu said that they are not asking to take responsibility and once again asked to just let them in. The man replied that if a guy wants to commit suicide, then let him jump into the Han River, and asked, why do it here? The man clearly said that these are the rules and heroes cannot enter. Sun-gu approached Woojin hesitantly and said that he could not convince the man. He apologized, saying that he should have scouted first. Woojin replied that nothing can be done, and apparently he needs to undergo reassessment tomorrow. The hero told Sun-gu to check if there were 3-star dungeons nearby. Suddenly the guys were called out by the captain, the previously familiar captain Jun-min-chan. The captain said that this was definitely fate. He apologized for interfering and asked what happened. He would like to help the heroes. The captain repeated the question about what happened. Woojin felt that there was something suspicious about this. Woojin asked how the captain was going to help them. Jun-min-chan asked if the heroes knew that only C rank and above were allowed into 4-star dungeons. This is a 4-star dungeon from the guild, Gwacheon Government Complex Station. The captain said that all reservations have been cancelled and it is completely at the disposal of the heroes. Woojin saw the catch and said that it was too good to be true because you have to pay for everything in this life. However, the captain said that this was only a gesture of goodwill. He will settle the heroes' problems with their ranks so that they can clear the dungeon to their satisfaction. Woojin replied that if so, then with great pleasure. The captain said he liked their approach. Jun-min-chan asked to wait a minute, saying that he had a gift for the heroes. The captain asked to wait a moment. The captain walked to his car and opened the trunk. Woojin is right. Jun-min-chan has his own goals. The captain didn't ask for anything in return, but the favor is returned with a favor. If food is shared with you, then it is natural for a person to share in return. The captain thought in his head that Woojin was a fairly strong, awakened one, but just a 24-year-old child. Now Kang-Woojin is on his hook. The assistant captain told Woojin that he was completely different yesterday. The hero asked what he was like. The assistant said that yesterday it was scary to even talk to Woojin. The hero replied that he was simply in a disgusting mood. In truth, all his thoughts were occupied with Tranit. Woojin seems to be in a better mood today. The assistant offered the heroes a drink after the raid, to which he readily agreed. This guy has been in the Hammer Guild for 2 years, and today Woojin will definitely sign this damn contract while under the influence of alcohol. The assistant suggested one place, and they began to discuss this issue with Woojin. Sun-gu thought about it. He knows that no matter how much he sucks up, Woojin won't join in, so it's a waste of time. However, when the captain returned, the heroes were no longer there. The assistant said that they went to the dungeon. The captain was angry. How could they go to the dungeon if he was talking about a gift? The assistant and the captain were going to wait for their return, so it would be possible to give it after. Jun-min-chan threw his bag. The gift turned out to be a survival kit. The captain asked the assistant how much he thought the F-rank guys entering the 4-star dungeon knew about their dangers. For these dungeons, a D-rank team with a C-rank leader is recommended. Kang-Woojin is F-rank on paper. With this rate of clearing 3-star dungeons, he should be able to defeat the monsters of this dungeon. But from 4-star to 6-star, dungeons are different from low-level ones. If you go there without information and a survival kit, even a high-ranking person will not return alive. Jun-min-chan said that this is the end. They did not help, but literally sent the heroes to the grave. Woojin asked if this was really a 4-star dungeon since the monsters they met were too common. Sun-gu replied that he didn't know. Maybe it was just an easy 4-star dungeon. The heroes resigned themselves, and Ugin began searching for the Stone of Return. But there was something strange. There was no Stone of Return here. Sun-gu said that this couldn't happen. Woojin thought that his search skill might be too low. Okay, the guys decided to go back and look for more. But there is no stone here. What the hell is going on? Sun-gu showed where the entrance was. The heroes turned their heads and saw a huge portal. Maybe it's because of him that the Stone of Return did not appear. It looks like the heroes need to enter there, and Woojin thought why it was so simple. Now the real game begins. Woojin and Sun-gu approached the portal and entered it. They found themselves in another dimension with some kind of forest and trees. Suddenly, Woojin noticed that Sun-gu was naked and covering himself. The hero asked what he was doing and why he undressed. It turned out that Woojin was also naked. It seems that only their bodies were transferred into the dimension, but their clothes remained. Suddenly, they heard some rustling in the distance. But now it looks like a 4-star dungeon. Woojin started doing something on his screen. Sungu thought about how many skills Woojin has because he can even control space and got them clothes. While Sungu was getting dressed, he watched what Woojin was doing now. Only Woojin can see the information on the screen. Woojin is currently at level 10. Thanks to the transferred bonuses, its stats are higher than those of a normal level 10, but it is still dangerous in a 4-star dungeon. In the Rakia dungeon, the skills of a necromancer were enough, but there may be strong enemies here, and Ugin will not be able to fight them face to face. Then the hero began to learn new skills, such as Warrior's Intuition, Warrior's Anger, Jump, Charge, and Strong Blow. The heroes began to explore the area and noticed that something was approaching. It turned out to be a monster, a huge crocodile, which immediately attacked the heroes. Woojin immediately grabbed his house and rushed back. It turned out to be a level 31 crocodile. The warrior's intuition helped him find out. It's time for Ugin to find out how strong level 31 is. Meanwhile, Junmin-chan and his assistant were waiting for the heroes at the entrance. The barrier still hasn't disappeared. The captain said that time in such dungeons is 4 times faster, so about 2 hours passed there. The assistant asked how long they could hold out, and whether they could at least cope with the crocodile. Karina was unsure of this, because they were bare-handed and without a survival kit. Portals in high-level dungeons do not allow materials from Earth to pass through. The only thing that can be carried through them is things from other dimensions. The captain said that even if they can cope with the monster, the main problem is the lack of food and water. If it is difficult to survive empty-handed in the Amazon jungle, then in the dungeons. The assistant said there was one problem after another. The heroes in another dimension made a fire and began to prepare food for themselves, in particular a crocodile. Woojin said that crocodile meat has always been considered a delicacy, and said to try it with beer. Beer goes well with barbecue. Sungu was pleased. A lot of time has already passed. The assistant asked if that didn't mean they were able to survive. The captain replied that the crocodile could still be defeated somehow by distracting with calls, but this would not be enough to get across the swamps. The assistant understood what swamps the captain was talking about. The swamps that appear from time to time in the jungle are a death sentence for melee fighters. The legs get stuck, and the Hoko monkeys and swamp anacondas attack at the same time. And only Hong Sung-gu has ranged combat. The heroes reached this point and saw a huge number of monkeys in the trees. However, his fireballs will not be enough to stop the Hoko monkeys. The assistant and the katana were in despair because it was very difficult. Woojin and Sungu began attacking the monkeys using fireballs. Woojin ordered everyone to be burned. Sungu was shocked that Woojin also had such a skill. Ugin sent his skeleton magicians to attack the monsters. The captain and his mate decided to have a snack. 4 hours have already passed. The assistant asked the captain if he thought the heroes would be able to clear the dungeon. Junmin-chan replied that he didn't know, since not only monsters are dangerous in high-level dungeons, but there are also a lot of unfamiliar plants, animals, and insects there. The captain asked the mate how much they knew about that ecosystem. This means that the heroes have a high chance of eating something poisonous. It's all over for them. Sungu found some fruit and wanted to eat it because tropical fruits are very sweet. Woojin said that if you eat them raw, the guy will die. Sungu immediately spat out and asked why Woojin didn't warn him earlier. Sungu asked how Woojin knew all this. The hero replied that the guy should not worry about it. In fact, Woojin knows all this because he has lived here for 20 years. It was already dark outside. The captain and his assistant continued to wait for the heroes. The assistant asked if there was a reason why the captain wanted to get Kang-Woojin, since the guild was not entirely interested in it. The captain replied to Ha-min that over the past 5 years his eyes had never deceived him. The stories of Junmin-chan recruiting rising stars are very famous. After all, he is almost the first person to know about their A-rank Park Jin-woo. Yes, and now the captain is sure that Kang-Woojin will be cooler than him. Ha-min was shocked. How is this cooler than Park Jin-woo? Therefore, the captain will not be surprised if he does not join them. But he just wants him to return alive, because his death will be a huge loss for humanity. The assistant did not even expect that the captain had such thoughts. Ha-min suggested praying together for Woojin to return alive. This will not be easy, since the Guardian of the Stone of Return is a truly powerful opponent. Everyone already knows about this, but we still need to pray for their return. The captain said that Woojin would most likely die. Ha-min thought this was too pessimistic. Wandering around the dimension, the heroes saw the Stone of Return. Finally, they can get out of here. Running towards the stone, Sun-gu almost fell into a trap and died. Woojin managed to pull him away. Sun-gu thanked Woojin and asked where he was looking. Suddenly, they saw huge evil monsters. Woojin didn't expect this. These monsters are Alphan orcs. The population of Alphan consists of a huge number of races. People, elves, dwarves, beastmen, etc. Even orcs. But what are they doing in the dungeon? And then the hero begins to ask the orcs why they are here in their language. Sun-gu didn't know what was going on. Orki asked who the hero was and how he knew their language. Ugin said that it didn't matter, and asked again why the orcs were here. They replied that they had lost their home. It turned out that Tranit defeated them. When the balance was upset, Tranit became the master of everything. And the orcs are here because of the contract with him. Following the contracts, Earth should become the new home of the orcs. Ugin said that Tranit doesn't even own Earth, so what's the point of this contract? Ugin took out his crowbar and told the orcs to say their last words. The chief orc ordered his warriors to attack. They began to menacingly approach the heroes, but this did not frighten them at all. Night has already fallen on Earth. Ha-min said that he had a good feeling. 6 hours and 20 minutes had already passed. And the whole day passed in the dungeon. If that's the case, it looks like the heroes will really clear it out. Clear a 4-star dungeon. Suddenly, the captain and mate noticed that the barrier had disappeared. They were expecting something incredible. The captain begged for the heroes to return alive. However, no one came out. It looks like this is the end, and Cardboard suggested returning. How suddenly they heard the voices of the heroes, who were saying that next time they should take the cart. The heroes rose with a huge number of different orc weapons. The captain was incredibly happy and glad to see the heroes alive and congratulated them on their return. Woojin asked why Junmin-chan was so happy to see him. The hero was riding in the car and thinking. They realized that a survival kit was not really needed, but the information was very much needed. Woojin read that crocodile skin is very expensive, but they threw it away. Woojin told Sun-gu to take her next time. Okay, bloodstones, but now he also has to cut up monster carcasses? Sun-gu's dream of becoming a fire mage is getting further and further. Suddenly, Woojin noticed someone on the street. Sun-gu asked what happened. It turned out that it was Jae-min and some girl. Woojin asked Sun-gu to stop for a second. Woojin called out to Jae-min and waved to him. He asked if Jae-min was on a date. The guy replied that it was just his older sister. Jae-min told her about how Woojin helped him back then. She remembered him and turned to the hero. Woojin looked at the girl. The Hammer Guild planned to make someone vice president. The president was informed that Vice President Park Jin-woo had arrived. The young man entered the office and saw Leader Young with the captain. The captain turned around and said he would go. Jin-woo is confused. Park Jin-woo asked what was wrong with the captain. The leader said that he had no idea, and said that Junmin-chan had noticed one necromancer and now wants him to make him vice president. Jin-woo said that since Leader Jung said so, then we should listen. However, the president said that the captain has already lost his touch and has been bringing in only mediocre people lately. The president said that it was pure luck that he spotted Park Jin-woo. The guy told the president not to be so cruel. The president said it didn't matter, and asked the guy how things were going in America. The guy replied that judging by the atmosphere, the rumors were true. It seems the Titan protected them. The president thought about it. So the rumors are true. The head of the Titan Guild, awakened A-rank Dean Kun, asked about the person who appeared from the dungeon, about the condition of this girl. The assistant replied that there were no changes yet. She doesn't know their languages and keeps saying a word they can't understand. She added that it was something like PTSD. The head of the guild said that this girl seemed to be the key to finding out the secrets of the dungeons, and she needed to be talked into somehow. 5 years have passed since the dungeons appeared, and they finally found at least some clue. And the girl from the dungeon, looking out the window, repeated the name Kang-Woojin. In the evening, Jae-min sat at home and did his homework. He was worried that nothing would happen. You never know what's on Woojin's mind. The hero invited Jae-min and his sister to eat with them. It turns out that Jae-min's older sister, Ji-won, is Woojin's former classmate. The hero did not expect this at all and said how many years, how many winters. Woojin said that 5 years have passed and she is still the same beauty. Ji-won became embarrassed and asked what Woojin meant. The hero said that the girl is too modest. He revealed that Ji-won was the most popular girl in school, and half the boys were secretly in love with her. The guys continued to praise Ji-won and it made her feel embarrassed. Woojin was also one of Ji-won's crushes. She was bright, beautiful, and got along with everyone. The girl wondered if Woojin had been so open before. Suddenly, the hero asked Jiwon why she was wearing a hat, and asked if maybe she hadn't washed her hair. Jiwon timidly replied that she just liked it that way. It was suspicious. Sungu was surprised by such straightforwardness. Woojin asked if Jiwon was hot and maybe he should take off his hat. She replied that everything was fine. Sungu thought about how Woojin could ask such a thing from a girl. He realized that his great Woojin had probably never dated anyone, and apparently he really liked Jiwon. In this case, such an atmosphere is not good, and Sungu suggested playing a game, since it's boring to drink without games. Woojin asked Sungu what game he was talking about. Sungu was having a lot of fun, drinking and singing different songs. The guy continued to fool around, and it really bothered Woojin. Woojin told Sungu to calm down before he broke his shoulders. Sungu immediately fell silent and calmed down, and Jiwon was very drunk and fell asleep right at the table. Suddenly the hat fell from her head and a woman passing by saw it. The woman told other people if they had seen the girl. The woman thought Jiwon had a burn. Sungu and Woojin also noticed a large scar-like spot on the girl's forehead. Woojin said that there was no need for such a violent reaction, put Jiwon's hat on and said that it wasn't that scary because she was still beautiful. The guys decided to have one more drink and go home. The next morning, Jiwon woke up with a severe headache. She did not immediately understand where she was. Jae-min saw that his sister had woken up. The girl asked her brother how she got here. Jae-min replied that Woojin brought it. He told her to go wash up and eat the hangover soup he had prepared. Jiwon went into the bath and, looking in the mirror, realized that she fell asleep without even thinking about the hat, and then she began to remember last night. Still, Woojin saw her scar. 5 years ago, when monsters from the dungeon attacked her, Jiwon received this terrible scar. The girl didn't want Woojin to see this. She wanted the hero to remember her past. Then she remembered Woojin's phrase about how she was still beautiful. The girl was embarrassed, but she was pleased. We find ourselves in Woojin's dream. It's a normal school day. The teacher asks who is on duty today, and the people on duty were Woojin and Jiwon. The teacher told them to clean up the classroom when everyone left. The guys cleaned everything up. Woojin looked embarrassed and awkward. After cleaning, the guys walked along the corridor. Jiwon said that Woojin is so quiet, just like her brother. She said that her brother is going through adolescence, and he answers aha to everything. Woojin didn't answer. Jiwon continued by saying that it was the first time she and Woojin had spoken since the start of second semester. She suggested getting along better from now on. Jiwon stopped the hero and said that she had to tell him something and asked for his ear. But Jiwon didn't have time to finish speaking when Bibi suddenly woke up Woojin. The cat asked how the hero slept. Woojin was unhappy that he woke up. He asked Bibi if she had used any skills on him while he was sleeping. Woojin went down to Sungu on the first floor of the hotel. The guy was working on the computer and asked Woojin how he slept. Woojin mumbled something and asked Sungu if he was looking for a level 4 dungeon. The guy answered positively. Sungu was just in the process, but he said that there weren't that many of them and all the mid-high level guilds had already reserved most of the dungeons. Woojin began to think about what to do. Maybe it's worth clearing the 3rd level dungeon? Suddenly, Woojin had an idea. He started dialing a contact called Weakling. The subscriber at the end of the line said that he would arrive now and asked to wait for him a little. Woojin said 15 minutes and no more because he doesn't have time. Sungu asked Woojin who he just called. Woojin asked the guy to guess. Woojin replied that he was calling the person who was returning the favor. It turns out that Woojin called Jun Min-chan. The captain ran in a hurry and apologized for keeping him waiting. Min-chan asked Woojin what he wanted. The guys said that they were looking for a dungeon on the 4th level. The captain said that although many people use the dungeon forum, it is not the best choice. The captain showed the guild's exclusive program. The captain said that this is what their support department specializes in. Junmin Chang asked about what made the heroes stay at this hotel. He added that if the heroes join them, they will be able to stay in any hotel they want. The captain also added that they could provide the heroes with a cozy apartment if they wanted. Again, he took up his task. Unexpectedly, Woojin replied that it sounded really good. Junmin-chan showed the computer and told the heroes to look at the dungeons they could book for today. Ugin said that the guild is really something. Min-chan thanked him for the compliment. The heroes came to the dungeon. Ha-min said everything is reserved. The captain told Woojin that since they had time before the reserve, why not have some tea? The captain was hoping to give a short briefing before entering if the heroes don't mind. He is sure it will be useful. The captain added that this information provided by the guild may surprise. Woojin was intrigued. Suddenly, the dungeon reconfiguration began. The heroes saw this for the first time. Junmin-chan told Hamin to hurry up and call the guild. Woojin wondered what this dungeon reconfiguration was all about. A crowd of people and reporters gathered around the dungeon. The entrance to the dungeon is blocked. The captain said it appeared the mine phase was completed. Woojin didn't fully understand what was happening. Junmin-chan said that the status of the dungeon can be divided into 3 categories. The first is mines, the second is reconfiguration, and the last is rupture. The dungeons that the heroes cleared before are called chests. They have been cleared at least once. When this happens, base mobs are spawned, and then miners, called awakened, enter and collect heliotropes. The mine stage lasts about 2-3 months, then it reaches its time limit. Reconfiguration, and a new dungeon is created. As the heroes see, Exit 6 of Seoul University has been reconfigured. From now on, many guilds will begin to try to clear the reconfigured dungeon first. Woojin asked if the dungeon was free now. The captain replied yes. Simply put, whoever clears it first gets the dungeon. Woojin wanted to try to do this, nothing is stopping him. Junmin-chan said that this is impossible, since the dungeon of the first clearing is many times more dangerous than those containing ordinary mobs. They are run by guilds. Then Ugin asked the captain if he really wanted the guild to manage the dungeon himself. The captain replied that that was not what he meant. Although the rules say that one person can own a dungeon, but only after measuring its energy so that people can enter. Woojin asked how it was. The captain replied that when the dungeon readjusted, it radiated energy. This is how the dungeon level is determined. Right now, they are going to measure energy. If it is level 4, then rank C. If it is 5th, then B. And if the dungeon is level 6, then only units of rank A can enter there. Woojin thought about it, because the captain said that he had a rank of C, so he has the privilege of entering the 4th level dungeon. The device showed that this was a level 5 dungeon. Woojin got upset, and the captain said that he would have to give up. Suddenly, Team Ja-Jack appeared along with Lee Yoon-hee. They're pretty fast. It looks like Hwarang will take this dungeon for himself. Woojin remembered this girl because she threatened him and told him not to show off his pathetic skills. Now he won't give up so easily. Suddenly, Woojin began to approach Lee Yoon-hee and said that now that the awakened A rank has arrived, clearing the dungeon will be spit out. The girl was not very happy to see him. The hero approached her and said that she had cool armor. She replied that this was a level 5 dungeon, and Woojin had nothing to do here. Let him get lost and not interfere. Woojin told Lee Yoon-hee not to be such a jerk and just wanted to look at the armor. He began to dig into her armor. The girl asked how dare he and who told him that he could touch her. A whole bunch of people were already crowded around the dungeon. Lee Yoon-hee tried to push the hero away and told him to take his hands off her. And then suddenly, Ugin began to fall straight into the dungeon. In fact, he planned it. People began to say that now everything is very bad, and someone has fallen into a dungeon. The hero now finds himself through the portal not in the jungle, but in the desert. He starts walking when suddenly a level 48 sandworm appears out of nowhere. What an aggressive greeting. The hero thinks that level 5 dungeons are not much different from the previous ones. The hero begins to attack the worms, saying that monsters will always remain monsters. But then Ujin is surrounded by a whole bunch of worms. They surround him and wrap him in a ball. But the hero is not lost and uses shape change, thereby cutting the worms into pieces. It's good that after killing the orcs, the hero raised his level, otherwise he would have had problems. Here, a whole bunch of level 46 ball worms begin to attack the hero. The hero tries to attack, but an explosion occurs. Some green smoke starts to come out, and then the hero raises a wall of bones. Another explosion occurs and the hero begins to feel dizzy. Level 5 dungeons are completely different. The hero drinks a potion that removes the poisoning effect from him. People are still standing in a crowd around the dungeon. One of the team members, Lee Yoon-hee, says that Woojin hangs around there for too long, and it annoys him. Sungu replies that Woojin is not just hanging around, but clearing out the dungeon. The guy on the team asks how a C-rank idiot can clear a dungeon. The guy also says that Woojin is probably hiding there like a coward. This made Sungu angry, but the captain calmed him down, saying that they should just trust and wait. Sungu fell silent. The captain asked him if Sungu really believed that Woojin could handle the dungeon. The guy replied that of course he would cope and return alive. The captain asked to tell us about what abilities Ugin has. Sun-gu replied, "This is classified information. This teenager is stubborn. He will not give out any important information." The captain thought that in any case, if Woojin returned, it would mean that Korea would have an 11th awakened A rank. Ugin in the desert continued to kill monsters and reached level 27, then 28 and 29. Woojin said that he had only one level left until he was called up again. The hero thought about how big this desert is. No matter how long he goes, it doesn't end. Then suddenly the hero saw in the distance the abandoned city of Lacrisia. Ugin, along with his skeletons, began to explore the city, and he did not feel anyone's presence. Looks like a regular throw. But then suddenly, someone attacked him and hit his skeleton. Ugin saw that it was Naga, a snake-like mythical creature. Nasha asked for the reason why Ujin invaded their temple. The hero said that he was not surprised that this place looked familiar, because it was the temple of Arya. Nasha asked if the hero really knows Arya. Ugin replied that, of course, how can one not know the seer goddess? Ugin asked Naga what Arya's follower was doing on Earth, and asked if the demon Tranit had defeated her too. The Naga was furious that the hero dared to insult their goddess. He said they only cooperate with Tranit to punish cults. This way they will be able to punish all the apostates of the blue-eyed priestess who left Alphen and fled to Earth. Ugin thought about the fact that the blue-eyed priestess was on Earth. Woojin said it was none of his business whether they caught her, killed her, or let her live, but he couldn't let them get to Earth. Just as the Nagas protect the temple of their goddess, Ugin wants to protect his home. Naga said that he respects Ugin's decision, so before they go to Earth, they will crush the hero. The hero realized that this was too much. Although communication is his strong point, he doesn't feel anyone. Their hiding skill is higher than Ugin's detection skill. It won't be easy for the hero with his skeleton soldiers. The hero used the distribution of skill points and increased the number of skeleton soldiers to 20. Since Summon Skeleton Soldiers has reached level 20, their form will also change. Woojin said that the Nagas would regret every blow they missed. Both the Nagas and the skeletons went into battle against each other. Ugin deftly dealt with his enemies. But then suddenly someone started shooting at the hero and the skeletons. It was the Nagas on the roof of the building. Ugin tried to attack them, but the Nagas surrounded him and he used a wall of bones. The hero and the Nagas have a significant difference in levels, but more importantly, they are trained in many melee attacks. In addition, their ability to use the territory also becomes a problem. Even Bibi and the skeleton magicians will not help here. Ugin can only use skeleton soldiers, but they are monstrously fast and can kill their enemy. So Ujin will not win. If so, then this is the only thing left. Meanwhile, the news said that 10 hours had passed since the accidental fall of a person, but the barrier was still in place. The victim of the incident was Kang-Woojin, an awakened C rank. They also said that his survival so far amounts to a miracle. Guildmaster Hammer wondered if they really had to come all this way to trade their faces. Even if they plan to give this dungeon to the Hwarang Guild, they can't help but show off. The master said that when they returned, they would need to be reprimanded. Sun-gu was very worried. The captain brought food and invited Sun-gu to eat while they waited. He said that the average raid time for a level 5 dungeon is 12 hours, and they don't know exactly how long it will take this time. Sun-gu was in despair because Woojin was suffering there and he was sitting here. He decided to eat anyway. The Nagas killed all the skeletons. The chief asked Ujin if this was all he planned to invade the shrine with. Woojin said that level 5 dungeons are a lot more problematic than he thought. Naga said that the hero was not in a position to bluff now, but the hero replied that he was not bluffing. Woojin leveled up. He now has the use of a special level 30 demonic sealing stone. Naga is perplexed, and then suddenly a huge monster appears, Ugin's servant. As a result of the designated zone, Golem was summoned in the Sand Golem video. Ugin ordered the Golem to kill the Nagas. The head of the Nagas also told everyone to line up. The Golem went on the attack and defeated the Nagas without any obstacles. Now only the chapter remains. He was clearly in shock. Woojin asked if he had anything else to oppose him besides his soldiers. Naga called the hero a shameless scum and tried to attack. And then Ujin uses the shape-shifting skill Hammer to attack Naga. The hero uses a whirlwind, after which he defeats Nag. Woojin said that Naga is a persistent bastard and is trying to prove that he is the boss of the level and is different from the rest. Naga never thought that there was someone so strong on Earth. But Naga is not ready to die until he completes his mission and turns into a new huge monster. Ugin points his hammer at him and says that for someone who is dying, Naga talks too much. People continued to wait at the entrance to the dungeon. Sun-gu continued to eat despite what happened. Before Sun-gu can finish speaking, Woo-jin appears and asks if he's been booked. All the people start running, taking pictures and filming Woo-jin. Has he really come out? Sun-gu asked if the hero was hurt. Woo-jin replied that there was not a single scratch on him, and it was as easy as shelling pears. Lee Yoon-hee was also still there. Woo-jin asked how she could push him into the dungeon. It's dangerous. If something had gone wrong, he could have died. The girl was clearly angry. The reporters wanted to quickly publish an article that Korea's 11th A-rank awakened had appeared. Guild leader Hammer began to get ready when suddenly the breaking news turned on. They reported that on Friday, at 11 a.m., at exit 6 of Seoul University Station, Kang-Woojin, who accidentally fell into the dungeon, unexpectedly returned back. The leader couldn't believe it. Reporters asked Woo-jin to answer the question of how he managed to survive and come back. However, Junmin-chan closed the camera and said that the hero barely returned alive from the 5th-level dungeon, and that there would be no interviews. The leader was shocked that the hero cleared the dungeon alone, and it looks like he really has A rank. So Junmin-chan's instincts were correct. If he recruits Woo-jin to join them, then Hammer will become the first guild in Korea with 3 A rank awakened. The leader was delighted, and hypocritically said that he knew that the captain would cope. Meanwhile, Lee Sang-ho was having dinner with the minister. The minister asked how what he asked for was going on. Sang-ho replied that the progress is good, and as far as he knows, there are a lot of people involved. The minister said that Lee Sang-ho should not make a single mistake. The man replied that the minister need not worry as they had prepared impeccably. The minister said that he knew that Master Lee Sang-ho could be trusted and promised to reward him generously. Suddenly, Lee Sang-ho received a message about the latest news, and he also found out that Woo-jin is an A rank. Lee Sang-ho knew that Woo-jin was exceptional, but he didn't think that he was that special. Lee Sang-ho remembered their conversation in the cafe when he asked Woo-jin to help them. Woo-jin is definitely hiding something, and Lee Sang-ho is obliged to hire him in Hwarang no matter what. The man also asked the minister for a small favor, to which he replied that he would do anything. Lee Sang-ho said that he actually wanted to involve someone in their plan. In Jae-min's apartment, Woo-jin and Sun-gu watched TV loudly while the guy tried to study. Jae-min turned and said that he was preparing for exams and asked to turn down the volume a little. The guys agreed and apologized to Jae-min. Jae-min was unhappy. He even has a cat at home now. He asked the guys if they were worried. It's been 3 days, and the outside is full of reporters. Woo-jin said that they would gradually get tired and leave one by one and asked Jae-min to let them stay with him for a couple more days. Since they started talking about it, Woo-jin asked Jae-min to buy them tangerines. Jae-min was of course not happy. But then Woo-jin showed the guy a couple of large bills and said that Jae-min could keep the change. The guy immediately agreed. Woo-jin's mom called. The hero asked her if the reporters were already looking for her. She replied that they still continue to come. Suddenly, my mother asked me to pick up something. Sun-gu asked the hero what happened. Woo-jin asked if Korea was still divided, to which Sun-gu responded positively. Woo-jin is furious. How come dungeons are already appearing and they are still separated? Sun-gu asked Woo-jin what was wrong. The guy replied that he had received a summons to the army. Woo-jin said that he would not go like that and suggested simply killing Kim Jong-un. Sun-gu is shocked and asks the hero if he is going to avoid war by killing Kim Jong-un. But Woo-jin was furious and said that we must go unify Korea. Song Yagu tried to stop him. Sun-gu asked Woo-jin if he really thought he could just kill him and Korea would be united. Woo-jin asked if there were other options, since this was the best he could come up with. Sun-gu said that they could find another way if they thought longer. Suddenly the door opens and Jae-min walks in. He asks in bewilderment what is happening here. Jae-min listened to the hero's problem and asked why he was so worried about it. Because the awakened ones are not sent like ordinary soldiers. They are assigned to special forces, but if Woo-jin does not want to join the army, he can serve the country in another way. The hero asked which one. Jae-min replied that then he should join the guild and help fight monsters when asked. Woo-jin noted how much the guy knows. Jae-min replied that after all he dreams of working in a big guild. Woo-jin got a little mad and asked Sun-gu how come he didn't know anything. Suddenly, a joyful Ha-min runs up to Captain Junmin-chan and says that they did it. The captain asked what was the matter, and Ha-min replied that Woo-jin wanted to meet and talk to them about the guild. Perhaps he wants to join them. Min-chang was dumbfounded. He began to remember all the attempts to please Woo-jin. He knew that with his sincerity he would achieve it. Ha-min said that the head had accomplished another feat. Min-chan told Ha-min not to make any noise. The captain decided to talk to the president and return. He told Ha-min to start preparing for the meeting. Min-chan was glad that he was still worth something. The captain came to see the president. He was very happy to see him and asked how the negotiations with Kang-Woojin were going. Min-chan replied that the hero had just contacted them. The president was simply happy and said that Chief Jun had really done a very good job. That's why the captain came here to talk about the position of vice president. The president said that since Chief Jun is asking, they cannot refuse. The president said that thanks to Jun Min-chan, the Hammer Guild will rise to #1 in Korea. The captain and the president agreed, and Min-chan was about to leave. The captain, Ha-min, and Woojin gathered in the cafe. And then Woojin said something that shocked the captain. Woojin offered to create a guild with him. The captain thought that they had gathered because Woojin wanted to join the Hammer Guild. The hero replied that he did not need it, and invited the men to join him. Ha-min and the captain came thinking that Woojin would sign a contract with Hammer. This proposal was very unexpected for Jun Min-chan. He has no words. Suddenly Ha-min asked Woojin what benefit they would get from this, and then Woojin said it was $1 million. Woojin proudly said that he would give them $1 million on top of their salary. The captain was shocked, but said that it was not just about money because he was the manager of the Hammer Guild, and it was difficult for him, as someone who had not awakened, to get this position in one of the best guilds. Jun Min-chan added that he cannot transfer to another guild because of money. Woojin said that he could guarantee that they would become even greater than Hammer, and asked the men to become founding members of his guild. As Ha-min and the captain were driving from the meeting, Ha-min said that he was going to accept Woojin's proposal. The captain was shocked. Ha-min said that this actually sounds cool since Woojin is definitely an A rank awakened, because no one has raided a level 5 dungeon solo before him. He is confident that they will grow faster than the Hammer. Ha-min added that even if he stayed in Hammer, how high could he climb the career ladder? The captain thought and realized that the guy was right. Based on the way Woojin raids dungeons, he has a brighter future than Hammer. On the other hand, it will be difficult to advance further in Hammer. No matter how good Min-chan's achievements are, it will be difficult to surpass the founding members and become vice president or president. The captain should be grateful that he is not ridiculed or mocked. Then Jun Min-chan said that he also agrees. He added that in order to rise higher, they all have to take risks. Ha-min said it was a good decision. Ha-min took out the registration letter and offered to leave. Min-chan asked if Ha-min always carries it with her. It turns out that the captain also carries a registration letter with him. It was quite wrinkled. Apparently, he had been carrying it with him for a long time. Then the men decided to abruptly quit the Hammer Guild and go for a drink. When the men entered the office, they saw that it was dark and no one was there. Suddenly, the lights turned on, firecrackers were launched, and everyone began to congratulate the head, Jun Min-chan, on his position as vice president. The president said that when he first met Min-chan, he knew that he would not last long as a manager. Starting tomorrow, Min-chan will become the vice president of the support team. The workers told the captain to blow out the candles and continued to congratulate him. Min-chan was, to put it mildly, in a stupor. The president said that this genius had just completed an incredible negotiation and said to applaud. Workers said they admired him. It turned out very awkward. Min-chan tried to object, but the president said that they would discuss it later when they got to the dinner location. The guild has made reservations at a nice restaurant. The evening went on, and Min-chan could not find a place for himself. Ha-min asked what they would do, because it would be somehow awkward to talk about registration in such a situation. The captain puzzled over this question. Suddenly Ha-min gives him a registration letter, and the captain asks why this is. Ha-min replied that one of them had to leave, and he didn't think they could say anything about registering in such a situation. Ha-min said that everything is very awkward, and he will leave first, and everything else is in the hands of the head. Suddenly, the president approached Min-chan and asked him to come to them to tell about his exploits. Still, Min-chan decided to say. The president noticed that the man was very worried, and then Min-chan said that he screwed up. The president is at a loss. The captain said that he screwed up Kang-Woojin's contract and he's really sorry. The president was absolutely furious and asked if Min-chan was serious now. The captain apologized again. The president asked if Min-chan really thought that his apology would somehow improve the situation and if he wanted to be fired. In fact, the captain would be grateful. The president said that he spent a lot of resources running after Woojin and an apology will not cover them. That's right. Min-chan vacated the dungeon schedule and let Woojin use it for free, paid people to adjust his rank and went into a lot of debt to hire him. The captain said that he takes full responsibility upon himself. The president asked how. Min Chang said he would resign. The captain asked if he really thought that taking a step back would solve everything. The president thought that the captain was running away after doing something bad. Min Chan didn't know how else to explain it to him. Min Chan said that that was all for him. He was leaving and wished him a good evening. The president was very angry with the captain, and they tried to calm him down. Meanwhile, Min Chan finally said goodbye to the Hammer Guild and was ready to welcome a new start. When Min Chan came out, he saw Ha Min waiting for him. The guy said that he couldn't leave without the head and said to get into the car. That's why Min Chan appreciates this guy, even though he's strange. Arriving at the restaurant, Woojin greeted the heroes and said that the guild was called Adral. Ha Min and the captain were a little surprised by the name, but shook Woojin's hand. They said that they will do their best to serve Woojin and hope that they will achieve great success. Min Chan said that they can be addressed on a first-name basis, and they will try to ensure that the name of the guild is on everyone's lips. Woojin asked if he could call the captain Min Chan from now on. However, the hero does not think that they should communicate so informally. The captain said he could be called Chief Jun. Woojin leaves the guild registration and preparation to him. Now Woojin offered to drink. Min Chang was a little embarrassed that the meeting was over. Woojin said that there is nothing more to discuss, and Min Chan will be in charge of everything, and the hero will do what is required. In fact, the hero thought that he just needed to come up with a name for the guild. Min Chan thought to himself how normal it was for a boss to be so careless. He doesn't like it. He hopes he won't regret his decision to come here. The captain suggested postponing the acquaintance, since first they had to decide something. Min Chan was referring to the level 6 dungeon raid at Seoul Station. To take reservations from other teams, they need to negotiate details about conducting raids. This has nothing to do with creating a guild. Woojin said that there is no need to allow other people to use the dungeon, since he can raid it himself. Min Chang asked if it would be better to let others use it when Woojin is resting, rather than leaving it standing idle. Woojin thought about it. Woojin asked if the captain had anything else to add. Min Chan said that they require at least 5 members to register a guild. Woojin and Sun-gu began to think about who they could invite. They thought about Jae-min, but he is still studying, and an underage teenager would not be suitable. And then Woojin began to look through his contacts on his phone. Mom doesn't come? What should I do? But then Woojin remembered one little man, and then the same phone salesman who once deceived Woojin comes into the room. Woojin asked if he brought the ID card and stamp. The man replied yes. He looked very scared, which is not strange because Woojin beat him up last time. Woojin stood up and greeted him, saying that he was now their 5th guild member. The man was clearly perplexed. 2 days later, the Adral Guild office was undergoing renovations. Now the office looks human. That man salesman, Seung-hoon, thought about the fact that just yesterday he thought he was being played. The guy who beat him half to death and stole his phone is the well-known Kang-Woojin. They spend the whole day talking about their boss, since he is the 11th A rank awakened in the country, although this is not official yet. He is also one of the strongest in history. Seung-hoon wondered if Woojin had lured these two away from the Hammer Guild. Seung-hoon realized that it was very profitable to work for Woojin. His business at the store wasn't going so well anyway, so it would be better to work for him. Suddenly, Ha Min asked Seung-hoon how he knew the boss. Ha Min thought that they must be close for Seung-hoon to come running so quickly when Woojin called him. In fact, Seung-hoon came running here because he thought he would be beaten if he was late. However, the man did not understand why Woojin invited him to become part of the guild. Maybe he apologized for the beating? Suddenly, Woojin himself came into the office. He said the office looked great. Min Chan asked Woojin if he had finished writing out the dungeon raid strategy. Woojin replied that, yes, something like that, but Sun-gu did it. Sun-gu looked exhausted and tired. Ha Min said that even if the raid was successful, there was a lot of stuff that needed to be recorded, since this was a level 5 dungeon after all. Sun-gu looked like his soul had been sucked out of him. He definitely needs to be given more time for himself. In the meeting room, all guild members gathered to decide the most important thing. Woojin asked Min Chan what position he wanted. The hero said that even though there are only a few people in the organization, you need to give them their roles in order to distribute the work productively. Woojin asked everyone to tell them what positions they wanted. Everyone was simply shocked that they would choose their own positions. Woojin didn't understand why everyone was silent and asked the head of June about what positions usually exist in the guild. Min Chang said that they are usually divided into two categories. The first is awakened, and the second is ordinary employees. An awakened person may be an executive, a director, a vice president, but usually this is not important. For the awakened, the most important thing is the details of the contract, such as a share of the dungeon raid and other payments. Woojin asked Sun-gu what he wanted to be. The guy replied that he was Woojin's manager, and before he could finish speaking, Woojin said that he would be the director. Sun-gu was shocked that he was 21 years old and already a director. However, he will be the director of resource collection. Woojin asked about departments. Min Chang replied that there would be accounting, administration, sales, support, and management departments. Woojin started thinking and decided that Min Chang would be the general manager. Woojin also asked Hamin, to which he asked to be given the position of head of the support department. And then Woojin asks why Seung-hoon is still here. Everyone was surprised. Everyone thought he was one of the founding members. Woojin replied that he was just bored with his name. Seung-hoon was completely at a loss and didn't know what to do. Woojin said that since he is here, they will give him a suitable job. Min Chang asked about how they plan to hire employees. Woojin asked why they needed them. Min Chang was shocked. The captain said that as the guild grows, there are usually more awakened ones and they will need new employees. Here, Woojin hands the head some piece of paper and says that this is his raid to free himself from the army. This shocked Min Chang that Woojin created a guild just to free himself from the army when he could have simply joined Hammer. If Woojin did this, Jun Min Chang would become the head of the department and live a luxurious life. Min Chang said that people will probably still be needed. Woojin said okay, and instructed the head to do what was required. Woojin said that the general manager will be in charge of the support department. Min Chang is even more shocked. She wondered if Woojin was doing this because he trusted him or just because he was lazy. Meanwhile, Ji-won was lying in bed and reading the news about Woojin. It's incredible that Woojin is now a celebrity. She was surprised that she was drinking with such a person. Suddenly, some women came into Ji-won's room and said that she scared them. They said that Ji-won should wear a cap, even if she is sitting in the room, because she is not alone here. Ji-won apologized and they left for a while. One of the women said that she needs to save up and move out of the dorm because Ji-won scares her to death every time. Ji-won was very upset by these words and thought that she had nothing to hope for. Jae-min got off the bus near Ji-won's dorm. He wanted to have dinner with her and have a good time since he was done with his exams, and Ji-won had moved back to his place. She was a little late when suddenly the same two women came out of the building. They began to discuss how Ji-won was the same fox with men before getting burned. They said they thought she was a gray mouse. Jae-min was not very pleased to hear this. Meanwhile, Woojin and Sun-gu raid or dungeon. They collected various items, but there were only ordinary things there, and useful artifacts no longer dropped out. Sun-gu said that this is because the drop rate has decreased due to the increase in the number of raids. Woojin said that they already took everything from this dungeon. The heroes came out, and a huge number of people were waiting for them. People were shocked that they had already finished, even though 4 hours had passed. Seung-hoon ran over and told Woojin that it was a good job. The hero asked what he was doing here. The man replied that Min Chang asked to take the heroes back to the office when they were finished. Woojin asked where the head Jun himself was. Seung-hoon replied that the guild was most likely approved, and he headed to the Public Affairs Bureau. Suddenly, one of the reporters pushed Seung-hoon away and started asking questions. He asked about Ugin's secret, which allows him to raid dungeons with unusual speed. Reporters attacked the hero. It is said that Woojin is not accepting reservations at Seoul Station Gate 6, and reporters asked when he plans to open it to other people. And then Seung-hoon started yelling at the reporters and demanded to move away from Woojin. He said that the hero was tired after the raid, and if they wanted to ask something, then they should send an official request to the guild. Seung-hoon added that if the reporters continue to pester Woojin, then they will already have to deal with the matter in court. Seung-hoon said that he remembered their faces and would remember them when they received an official interview request. Woojin was surprised. Seung-hoon said that he would drive the car now. Woojin wondered if Seung-hoon became like this when he pushed him, or if he was always so aggressive. Sun-gu asked Woojin how he knew Seung-hoon. The hero replied that he sold him the phone. Seung-hoon wondered why Woojin hired him, but he just wanted his name. Because the man misunderstood, He even closed his shop, and now that things have turned out this way, he must remain in this guild no matter what. 3 days later, Woojin sat in his office and read the news about him being promoted to A rank and about his guild. He also read the news about a comparison between him and Kim Kang-chul. Woojin said that Kim Kang-chul looks pretty strong. Sun-gu asked Woojin what he eats. The hero said that these are enhancement stones. They raise stats, and suggested it to Sun-gu. Sun-gu was shocked as each stone was worth at least 1,000,000 won. Woojin gave Sun-gu these stones and said that they would increase his strength, agility, and endurance. Woojin said that Sun-gu needs to become stronger to carry more things and faster to collect them, and his stamina will be useful to him to work even harder. Suddenly, Jae-min came into the office and asked if Woojin was here. The hero thought that the guy came to visit him, and Jae-min wanted to talk about something and asked for a couple of minutes. After Jae-min left, Sun-gu asked why he came. Woojin replied that it was a long story, something like the love of a brother for his sister. Woojin said he would go out for a while and started getting ready. Sun-gu asked where the hero was going. He replied that he was going to meet Ji-won and told him not to wait for him. Sun-gu asked if they were on a date and Seung-hoon heard it. He realized that this was his chance. Seung-hoon flies into Woojin's office and says that making him an employee was a great decision. Woojin was perplexed and asked why the man was behaving this way. Seung-hoon said to rely on him as he is a professional in such matters. The heroes went to the shopping center, and the hero began to try on different outfits. Sun-gu said that who would have thought that there was a VIP shopping room in the mall. Seung-hoon offered Woojin a suit, saying it would fit him perfectly. Woojin didn't understand what all the fuss was about. An hour ago, Seung-hoon, having heard about the date, said that there are many ways to win a girl, but the most important thing is sincerity and the first impression. He also said that suitable clothes are the first step to a girl's heart, so they went to the mall. Woojin decided that okay, sometimes it wouldn't hurt to buy something stylish. And then Woojin comes out in a black suit and blue shirt. Everyone was speechless at his appearance. His clothes suited him very well. Seung-hoon handed Woojin the watch to complete the look. Seung-hoon also handed the hero some piece of paper. He looked for things to do in the city and told Woojin to just follow the plan. Woojin said to himself that this idiot understood everything wrong, but he wanted to relax, so he might as well listen to him. Woojin thanked everyone and said they could leave early. Woojin left and Sun-gu asked Seung-hoon if he was going home now, but the man replied that he had something to do. Every time Seung-hoon tries to bring people together, they become couples, and so he's going to help the head. Sun-gu asked if Woojin was going to date Ji-won because he was unsure about it. Seung-hoon replied that, of course. Seung-hoon said that there was little time and there was a lot to prepare, so he said goodbye and said that he would see him on Monday. Seung-hoon disappeared like lightning. Sun-gu doesn't actually think Woojin is going to confess. He's talking about some kind of medicine or something like that. Meanwhile, Ji-won got out of the shower and started reading her correspondence with Woojin. He wrote that he would come for her, it seems. The girl was very embarrassed that Woojin most likely wanted to ask her out on a date. Ji-won thought that this couldn't happen, definitely not with someone like her. Maybe Woojin has some reason. And then suddenly Woojin called the girl. He said that he was standing in front of her dorm and that she should come out when she was ready. She went to the window and saw him. He waved to her. They went out and Ji-won asked why Woojin wanted to meet, and so suddenly asked to go with him to the center. Woojin said it was nothing. He just wanted to give her something and go on a date. The girl was confused and did not know what to do. Does Woojin really like her? The hero said that it was still too early for dinner and suggested going to the cinema. Suddenly on the way, some guy bumped into Ji-won and her cap fell off a little. She quickly began to correct it. Woojin, remembering the words of the woman from the restaurant, asked Ji-won if she really cared so much what others thought. This is because people feel uncomfortable when they see her face. Suddenly, Woojin takes the girl by the hand and leads her somewhere. They approached a shop with masks. Woojin gave one of the masks to Ji-won and took one for himself. On the way to the cinema, all the people looked at the characters and said that they looked funny. People thought that maybe they were some kind of celebrities, or maybe this was a competition. Someone thought it was for Halloween, but it's still early. Woojin continued to take Ji-won to the movies. They were wearing masks and the girl asked if they would really wear it. Woojin asked if she wanted to switch with him, to which Ji-won replied that that was not the problem. Then the hero said that it was time to go, otherwise they would be late for the film. The heroes watched the film, but for some reason the hall was empty. Ji-won thought it was strange since it was said that all the tickets were already sold out. Half an hour ago, when the heroes wanted to buy tickets, they were all sold out, and they thought about not even going to it. But suddenly, a man in a cap and mask approached Chris, saying that he had urgent business to do, and offered to take his tickets. The man gave the tickets and ran away. Woojin thought that he reminded him of someone. Seung-hoon came to the ticket office and said that he wanted a refund for all the tickets except those two. However, the girl worker said that the man bought tickets for the group. Seung-hoon demanded his money back for the tickets since he bought them 10 minutes ago. The heroes left the cinema. Ji-won said that she liked it and hasn't been to a movie for 5 years. Woojin replied that he hasn't been to a movie in 20 years. Suddenly, they were called out by some clown with a wheel of fortune. He told them to come spin the roulette wheel. It was free. The clown said that such an opportunity would not arise again, because the chance of winning was 90%. Woojin asked Ji-won if she wanted to try. She replied that she was bad at such things. Ji-won spun her wheels and it came down to losing. The clown suggested that Woojin should try it, because it would be nice to give a gift to his girlfriend. Woojin spun the wheel and lost again, but the clown, Seung-hoon in a suit, spun the wheel so that there was a win. The heroes won the prize. Ji-won said that this is her first time winning something. The clown gave the girl a gift in a bag. Woojin understood everything. Seung-hoon was watching them. Woojin took Ji-won and they left from there. The heroes played slot machines with toys, had dinner, and walked. Ji-won lost track of the time since she stopped worrying about people's gazes. She's just wearing a mask, but if Woojin hadn't done it with her, she probably wouldn't have decided on her own. Ji-won thought that if this was a dream, she didn't want to wake up. Ji-won said that today is an amazing day. She really enjoyed it, and people probably think they are weird. Woojin asked what the big deal was. Ji-won said that he is right, but she still doesn't have the courage to go where there are a lot of people. For her, it's like a dream, but sooner or later, the dream ends. She thought that if she continued to sleep, she might fall in love with Woojin. Ji-won suggested taking off the masks and returning to reality. Woojin said that he would give the girl something to help her regain that courage. Suddenly, the heroes saw an incredibly beautiful fireworks display in the sky. People around began to congratulate the heroes, but when people saw Ji-won's face, they said that it scared them and that the guy must really love her. Seung-hoon behind the tree got angry and said that he just asked them to clap and liven up the atmosphere. But they are doing this. Woojin noticed Seung-hoon. He also saw how uncomfortable Ji-won was and activated the bone wall. Ji-won asked where they were. Woojin told the girl to close her eyes as he had a gift. On the very day when Jae-min came to Woojin, he told him that they had lost their parents during the dungeon breakout. Ji-won stopped doing what she wanted for his sake. She was injured by a monster during a dungeon breakout. Therefore, she received a scar that cannot be removed. For this reason, Jae-min asked to help her if Woojin could. Woojin took out a jar and said that now Ji-won will wake up from the dream she mentioned, from the terrible nightmare that began with the dungeon break. Woojin applied healing ointment to her scar. It is a high-level restorative medicine that helps to recover from wounds received due to physical or magical attacks. Woojin wrote to the girl not to wash her face or wash her hair for a day, otherwise she will wash off the ointment. He also told her to go to bed. Ji-won thanked Yin for everything and also advised him to rest. She thought it would be great if the ointment could completely heal her wounds in one go. She remembered that gift and decided to see what they won. And then Ji-won saw the ring. There's no way the street vendor gave her a ring. If you think about it, the characters watched the film in an empty theater, ate in an expensive restaurant, watched fireworks, and gave her roses. No way. Ji-won thought that Woojin was going to confess his feelings to her. Woojin forced Seung-hoon to do push-ups and repeat that you need to know when to stop. Woojin told the man to do only what he asks and no more. He asked why Seung-hoon did all this. The man replied that he simply wanted to show his loyalty to the head, since he did not trust him enough. Seung-hoon said he was sorry. Woojin asked where Seung-hoon would get all the money for this. It turns out he took the guild card. Suddenly Min-chan came into the office. He was surprised by what he saw and asked what they were doing. Min-chang said that he had reached an agreement with the Ministry of Defense. Woojin asked if he still needed to serve in the army. Min-chang replied that it is not necessary if he completes 10 mobilization tasks from the army. But this is nonsense. Head Jun didn't know how to tell Woojin about this. Woojin demanded that Min-chan speak. Chief Jun said that Woojin was asked to immediately mobilize to Daegu, exit 3 of Jukjeong Station. There was a dungeon breakout. Woojin arrived there, but there was no one there. It was like a ghost town. Previously, Minchan said that a dungeon breakthrough happens if the rebooted dungeon is not cleared in 30 days, because the barrier breaks and the monsters come out. It seems that no one managed to clear Chungjong Station, and the awakened were called in as reinforcements. Woojin asked, "What will happen if they fail?" Min Chang said that it was unlikely that the army would mobilize, but if it did, Daegu would be completely destroyed. Woojin wondered why there were so many open spaces and parks in this area, probably due to the dungeon explosion. A certain woman in military uniform said that the residents were evacuated 2 days ago, and the rupture will occur tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.